Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel. It's the morning after the night before. Chelsea beaten Bayer Leverkusen by 2-0. Estêvão Willian scoring on his debut. You guys have shown tons of love to the 6 Things We Learned video, so a huge thank you for that. Smash to pieces that like button if you're still buzzing after last night's win. And it's the night before or the morning before, the day before Chelsea play football again at home to AC Milan tomorrow. This isn't your match preview, but we will be taking a little look at Chelsea from yesterday because it's going to help us dissect some of Moresca's comments. We're going to be using the JLA tactics board. If you don't know James Alcott, get to know him. But we got access to the tactics board, and I'm going to be using this moving forward throughout the course of this season. But blimey, that was an exciting, enthralling Chelsea performance last night, considering that was our first pre-season friendly, and I believe it was Bayer Leverkusen's 6th game that they've played since they've been back training. Chelsea players have been together for 4 days, and they managed to muster up a very convincing performance against a solid European side. So, we're going to talk today about new centre-backs for Enzo Maresca. There was an interesting tweet posted last night from Fabrizio that said this: "It's a priority for me," this is supposedly Moresca speaking, "to get a new centre-back. We will see if we go for it." Now, I think it's important here not to bash Fabrizio Romano at the first opportunity, but I also think this could have been a semantic misunderstanding. So I'm going to show you the actual speech quote here from Enzo Maresca.
Is it a priority for you now to bolster that defence, or are you happy with what you saw this evening?
It's a priority for me, yes, because Levi is a fantastic player. What we have achieved last season is because of him also. He played all games with me. I love him. And I'm gonna miss him. We're gonna miss him because the first one that they know that Levi is very good. They are the teammates because they recognize that. But we are trying also to find different solutions.
Is there a plan to bring in another centre-back before the window closes?
We see.
So what I can decipher from this Enzo Maresca interview isn't necessarily that we need to go out in the market, buy a new centre-back today so that they can play tomorrow against AC Milan. Enzo Maresca is very much alluding here to a solution needing to be found. And maybe that means internally we will see something like we saw yesterday. Trevoh Chalobah and Josh Achampong were the starting centre-backs yesterday for Chelsea, with Marc Cucurella and Malo Gusto starting the game on the wings. And obviously we're going to talk a little bit later about these guys in the final third, because the link-up between Estêvão and Palmer was sensational. But as of right now, I don't think Chelsea are going to rush into the market for a new centre-back. If the right player is available that is up to the levels that you heard from Enzo Maresca in those comments, Levi was so important to what we achieved last season, and Enzo Maresca loves him. And that is a quote from Enzo Maresca. So, if we do go into the market for another centre-back, then I wouldn't be too surprised whatsoever. But yesterday, Josh Achampong playing in a central centre-back position, with Trevoh Chalobah being over there on the left, and Moises Caicedo was basically just anchoring that midfield, and Dario Asugo very much did the same thing when he came on. Another positive we'll go through in a moment. But yesterday it kind of looked a little bit like this, with Estêvão on the right, Malo Gusto obviously getting forward, and Marc Cucurella kind of just coming inside a little bit, with Tyreek George over on the left. But the majority of Chelsea's play was certainly down this right-hand side, with Malo Gusto coming in for Estêvão. And Estêvão Willian yesterday was so important to Chelsea because he was able to cut inside, drift in, and the link-up between Cole Palmer and Estêvão Willian was absolutely sensational. But keeping it focused on the centre-backs for a moment, when Chelsea are dominating the ball as much as we did yesterday, we are seeing Moises Caicedo just staying back here, and Achampong was more than comfortable in that position. But also, when it comes to replacing that of Levi Colwill, Trevoh Chalobah's ability to play with the ball out from the back here, always looking for those passes inside to Caicedo or maybe an Andre Santos as well, was absolutely fantastic from Chelsea. There was always an out ball, and both Achampong and Chalobah were very successful with their passes. I think Achampong didn't misplace a pass for the entirety of the time he was out there on the field. Brilliant from him. It was very clear yesterday, the moment that Estêvão Willian scored that goal to open his Chelsea account on his debut in England at Stamford Bridge, that the headlines were very self-explanatory. Chelsea have signed an 18-year-old superstar from Brazil, and immediately he makes a huge impact on this team. And I've put a little triangle here between Andre Santos, Cole Palmer, and Estêvão, because not only do we have that Brazilian link up there between Santos and Estêvão, two youngsters with incredibly high ceilings for Chelsea Football Club, but it almost looked as though Estêvão and Cole Palmer have been best mates for a century. The link up between these two, it's instinctive. Both of these players have got such a brilliant footballing brain that they immediately know on the pitch where each other are going to be. And I think this season, we are going to be able to unlock new levels of Cole Palmer purely because we're going to be able to see this. Cole Palmer and Estêvão rotating together within these positions. And we saw it countless times. Cole Palmer was able to move out wide. Estêvão was able to come into the 10. And by the end of the match, Estêvão was finishing the game as a number 10. And that's exactly what Enzo Maresca said. The kid is special. He can play anywhere across the front line. But immediately, that relationship between Cole Palmer and Estêvão Willian is getting me incredibly excited for what we can see moving forward. And look, even if it isn't Andre Santos, you bring in Enzo Fernandez into the fray here as well. With these rotations in the final third, with Gusto acting as that cover, going back and getting forward too, Chelsea are in a really strong position here with this squad. And Estevão's debut, for me, was absolutely the highlight of the game. I also want to talk a little bit about Liam Delap here, because he didn't really get too much praise last night for his performance, and probably rightly so. Didn't really get involved too much, only touched the ball 13 times. But I also want to reference what is going on right now with Nicholas Jackson, and we're going to bring Liam Delap into things a little bit, because even in that friendly last night, I think you can see why Chelsea are going to sell Nicholas Jackson this summer. And it isn't just because of the finances, but this is the latest here from Fabrizio on the so-called bomb squad right now at Chelsea. Not only Jackson and Nkunku, Ben Chilwell, Raheem Sterling, Axel Disasi and Renato Vega also out of Chelsea's squad. They are all expected to leave before the end of the window. And then yesterday we also got Nicholas Jackson and Chelsea. It's over. Chelsea expect a fee for Jackson that is comparable to the £52 million paid by Arsenal for Noni Madueke. Nicholas Jackson signed a contract extension with Chelsea in September, which runs until 2033. So there's a lot of conflicting reports right now about what's going to happen with Nicholas Jackson regarding what that fee is actually going to be. Newcastle are now in for Kolo Randall-Muani from PSG, and they're also after Yohan Wissa. So if we don't sell him to Newcastle, where's he going to go? But even yesterday, looking at Liam Delap's performance, not really touching the ball, but just being there in the box meant that all of the focus was on Cole Palmer and Estêvão and Tyreek George and even Marco Correa arriving to try and make things happen. But with Nicholas Jackson, you don't get that same box presence. He doesn't like just lingering around this area of the field, and he's always looking to drop deep and get involved with the play. By which point then, you don't have anyone in the middle. So I think Liam Delap will be that striker that maybe doesn't touch the ball very often, that we try to get it to in the box. And then, of course, the other option off the bench is João Pedro, who came on yesterday and once again scored a quite fantastic goal for Chelsea. Brilliant finish and great assist as well from Genesis Antwi, another great young player that Chelsea have from the academy that is doing very well. And again, he can beat his man. Lovely to see a winger do that. But Nicholas Jackson's Chelsea future is just looking more and more untenable. I would say that the price point, 52 million quid, that is significantly lower than the 100 million pounds that we heard a couple of weeks ago. I'm not entirely sure how that's tanked so dramatically as the Times have reported. But the more you see the way that Chelsea are playing, I think it's so important to also reference that the Delap's box presence and the fact that he's always an option there in the box is why Cole Palmer and Estêvão were actually warranted more space yesterday. So, Nicholas Jackson, the story is over. But we've also got to give some updates here on Xavi Simons. Xavi Simons has been suffering with a cold, but wants to play tomorrow in a match against Lens. That's today, a friendly for RB Leipzig. He is ready for sale, but as long as there is no offer on the table, Leipzig have nothing to accept. Now, obviously, I'm not so stressed about this, having watched Chelsea absolutely dismantle Bayer Leverkusen in that friendly yesterday. But the deals for Xavi Simons and also Alejandro Garnacho It seems as though the Garnacho deal is kind of sped up now with the Xavi Simons deal, and we didn't really speak about this too much yesterday, but I still expect Chelsea to get these deals done. At the moment, we are working hard to offload those players like Chilwell, Sterling, Vega, Nkunku and Jackson in order to be able to bring players in. I will say one thing though, if you're Xavi Simons right now, you're probably very frustrated. The stories have been Xavi Simons to Chelsea, Xavi Simons to Chelsea for over 2 weeks now. Chelsea are clearly interested in the player. We want to bring him in. We've got to escalate these player sales as quickly as we possibly can. And listen, even Tyreek George yesterday, Jamie Gittins came on, and Jamie Gittins was absolutely fantastic. And I think for me, the final effort that George had, where he sent it into Rose Z, kind of just, to me, told me it was going to probably go out on loan. I think he needs to develop a bit more to be at the levels that Chelsea need. But I'll say this, guys. After friendly number 1, seeing Gittins, Pedro scoring, Estêvão scoring double Brazilian goals for Chelsea, I am so excited for this season. If we get Xavi Simons over the line and maybe we sign a new centre-back, maybe we trust the ones that we've got, we're going to see that develop over the course of the weekend and early next week. But my word, is it looking very exciting indeed going into this new season. But anyway, make sure you guys are staying tuned for the live stream tomorrow for Chelsea versus AC Milan, because I've got some exciting news in that live stream tomorrow. As well as that, make sure, if you guys haven't already and you're buying the new kits this season or anything from the Mega Store, use the discount code GBFC10, use the QR code on the screen, or there is also a link in the description. Also, big shout out to James Alcott. He's done an amazing job with the tactics board. I'm still kind of learning how to use it a little bit, but we'll be using this a lot more this season in the GBFC videos. And if you do want to use it for your own videos or just for a bit of fun, I'll leave a link to James's tactics board in the description. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I will see you later on for your AC Milan preview. Come on, you Blues.